Violent crimes, illegal guns getting into the wrong hands, drug trafficking, and child exploitation. West Michigan's chief federal prosecutor says 2023 brought all of those issues to the forefront, with many of them rising in some of our communities.
News 8's Byron Tolleson sat down with him about what he saw and is trying to do to stop it.
Several concerning crime trends in West Michigan this year have caught the chief federal prosecutor's eye as they continue to take lives. West Michigan continues to see more violent crime, especially in urban areas, says the region's chief federal prosecutor. Part of what's driving the surge, he says, illegal guns getting into the wrong hands.
We have a proliferation of illegal guns in our communities right now that is helping drive the gun violence epidemic. It's killing more young people than ever before. It's the #1 killer of young people right now.
One case that U.S. Attorney Mark Totten prosecuted was against a Grand Rapids man, Gerald Martin, who allegedly bought at least 45 guns and then sold them to convicted felons. They were then used in multiple shootings in West Michigan, some that turned deadly.
It was really astounding to see where these guns landed. One of them was used to kill somebody in Flint. One of them shot multiple shots here on the Blue Bridge when it was filled with people in downtown Grand Rapids. And then, of course, one killed a 2-year-old in Wyoming.
Martin received just over 3 years in prison for the scheme. Also on the street, investigators continue to see more Glock switches, devices that essentially turn handguns into machine guns that can fire more than a dozen rounds in just a second. When Totten took over as chief federal prosecutor a year and a half ago, he says many in law enforcement hadn't even heard of them. Now,
a year and a half later, they show up every single week. They're everywhere.
Meanwhile, his office continues to prosecute drug traffickers here in West Michigan, fueling an opioid crisis. Nearly 110,000 people nationwide died from overdoses last year, many of them from fentanyl. Totten says we're on track to see those numbers again this year.
We're continuing to bring cases focused on trying to disrupt the supply lines that are bringing these drugs into our communities.
Also concerning Totten, a spike in sextortion cases, where criminals target teens or kids for sexually explicit images and then threaten to leak those pictures unless they pay up. The FBI says those cases have doubled since the pandemic.
Where they seek to get a compromising image from a young person and then immediately turn to extort them.
In August, 2 Nigerian men were extradited to Ford Airport to face justice for an alleged sextortion ring targeting more than 100 victims. Prosecutors are still aiming to extradite a third Nigerian national for the scheme. One of the victims, 17-year-old Jordan DeMay, a high school football star at Marquette Senior High School, who took his own life. Prosecutors allege that the Nigerians used a hacked social media account to pose as a young woman and lure DeMay into sending a nude photo of himself, and then threatened to reveal it to his family and friends.
These defendants actually told him that if he wasn't gonna pay them money, that he should kill himself, and he did. And so we're seeing a rise all across the nation in this horrible crime.
Totten also says his office is prosecuting multiple cases highlighting a rise in anti-Semitism nationwide, one of them involving a man from the Upper Peninsula who will be sentenced soon for threatening a mass shooting at an East Lansing synagogue.